hauntingly good episode of Some Good Tea, where we drink some tea and we share some tea. I am your host, Katie, and today I am joined by my good friend Emily, and we're going to be discussing ghosts. Enjoy.
I'm so excited to have you on my podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I'm very excited for my tea. This looks very yummy.
I'm very excited. So we're going through all the fall flavors, right?
Yes.
And today we're having a tea by Stash. It's their cinnamon vanilla tea. This is like just a really good feel-good tea.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting
very
it.
like comforting, perfect for like a fall day, which today is like not. It was like 80. Almost 90 degrees.
No, very much not a fall day
No, we don't really get like fall. We get kind of like almost fall, and then it becomes winter.
And then it snows.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But we can pretend. I'll turn up my AC. I have my little placemats out that have pumpkins on it. So it's kind of like fall.
I put out all my fall candles yesterday in my house.
Perfect.
I still haven't put out my fall decorations, but I did whip out the fall candles.
My fall decorations are kind of like intermixed with my Halloween decorations, and the problem is if I get my Halloween decorations out, I want to then put them out.
Right.
Because I love Halloween, but Halloween's got to stay in October.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Usually I decorate my house with like all my pumpkins and fall things in September.
Yeah.
And then come Halloween, I add the spooky stuff.
That's a good idea.
And then I take it down and leave all the pumpkin stuff in November.
For November? That's a really good idea.
I have a system.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
I should do that because I'm just like, oh, Halloween, oh, fall. I just want all of it.
All of it all the time.
Yes. It's so great. It's so
Yes.
great. Well, today we're going to be talking about spooky ghosts.
Yes.
Spooky ghost stories. We have 20 questions. I'm really excited to learn more about your experience with ghosts and talk more about this.
Yes.
Do you want to roll one of my lovely dice?
Sure. Do I get to pick any dice?
Yeah, so it's just one of these three guys.
Okay.
There's the D20. So you just roll it on the mat and we'll see what you get.
Is that an 18?
That is an 18. Ooh.
That's the most beautiful dice ever.
Aren't they just gorgeous? Okay, so our very first question. Ooh, what do you feel like motivates a ghost to haunt a place? Is it always something negative or tragic or unfinished, like the media shows it? What do you feel like?
Is this a question for me?
This is a question for you. I mean, you can answer. I can answer. We can kind of bounce back and forth. But like,
perfect.
This is your question.
Okay. What do I think motivates a ghost to haunt? Personally, when I think of ghosts, I think of like people or pets that have passed on.
Yeah.
So I feel like a ghost would haunt wherever their loved ones are, personally.
Okay, yeah.
Like my cat that died, he's a ghosty kitty in my house.
He's a little ghost kitty.
Yes.
Aww.
So I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. Yeah. I feel like that's a pretty commonly held like belief and understanding with ghosts, especially of loved ones or like pets, like personal things that have a personal connection to you.
Right.
Or your space or whatever. I do feel like as much as it's shown in the media and like we all know how much we can trust movies and TV shows and stuff.
100%, yeah.
But I do feel like for some spirits that are struggling to pass on or move on or let go or whatever, I do feel like sometimes it is motivated by like, ooh, I really want to bug people.
I want to scare you.
I want to scare people. Or you're mad about something. Or maybe the manner in which you died was either just really tragic or really lonely.
Right.
I feel like there are some aspects of it that it was loneliness.
It probably depends on the ghost and maybe like who they were when they were here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because maybe some people are like, yeah, I want to be with my people, but some people are like
my people are here, or my space was here, the things that I loved were here.
Yeah.
I could see that definitely being a motivating factor too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if somebody had like a house that they grew up in and they inherited it from their parents and they were there with their loved ones and they spent their whole time in this very special space.
Yeah.
You know, I could see why they would want to stick around.
Or maybe ghosts can be in more places at once. And it felt very haunted.
Oh my gosh.
But like in my heart, I'm like, well, my ghosty kitty, even though he was, you know, put down at a vet,
he's at my house.
He's at
your house.
But like also all those pet spirits were definitely at that clinic, because when you're there late at night, it was very haunted.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe they can be more places.
I think they could be in more places than one, or maybe even like parts of their personality almost get left in certain places.
Yeah.
Depending on like what were the circumstances of their death. I think that affects it too. Right? Yeah. Like if the circumstances of your death were really tragic versus really peaceful, like maybe even if it was really peaceful, like you want to remain in that like peaceful place.
Right.
You know? Or maybe you're waiting for someone to come back to that spot so you can say your goodbyes, or
yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that motivate like people's spirits.
Did you come up with that question?
I did. I came up with all these questions.
These are all very good questions.
Thank you. You've had one.
I mean, I was gonna say, I guess I haven't heard the rest, but one. That was not one I was like expecting. It's very, very insightful.
I like to hear what people think and to learn what people's experiences are like. So that was 18. Let's see what I get. Ooh, wow. I got a 17. This is actually perfect because you were kind of just talking about this. So the question is, have you ever felt like you had an experience with a ghost of someone close to you, a friend, a loved one, a pet, etc.?
Oh, nice.
And you kind of talked about your little ghosty kitty.
Yes.
I always kind of wanted that experience, especially with pets, and especially as like a kid.
Yeah.
Like if my pet passed away or whatever, I kind of always wanted like, oh, I would love for their spirit to come to me that night and like cuddle one more time or something.
Yeah.
Like, I always wanted that, never got it, not once. But my horse, so I had horses growing up, and my old man Walter, that was my competition horse. I did hunter jumper and dressage with him. For anybody who's not from the East Coast or knows anything about English will have no idea what I was just talking about, but he was a very, very good horse. I was in high level competition with him and it was wonderful. And then he got older, he retired. I still kept him around because he was my best friend. And then he got cancer and he died. And well, like we had the vet come and euthanize him.
Right.
Because I wasn't just going to wait for him. That would be rough. But the day he was euthanized, I had wanted to be there, and my dad wouldn't let me because he felt like it was too like emotional and too hard for me to be there. So that was really rough.
Were you like really young?
No, I was a senior in high school.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. So I had kind of like said my goodbyes and stuff the day before.
Yeah.
But that day, I didn't know it, but because the vet was going to come in like the afternoon and stuff. But the vet ended up coming like early in the morning and euthanizing my horse like early in the morning. But by like 10, 11 o'clock ish, I was absolutely like sick for no reason.
No.
I basically had like food poisoning.
Oh no.
I know, it was awful. Like I felt like horrid. And like this was a really hard emotional time, but like usually if I get sick from being sad, it's not like that. Like I was sick to my stomach, just like awful. And I was in it, and it lasted, it was like all day. It was awful. And I was like, you know, in the bathroom, curled up, hugging the toilet, your only friend, you know? And I heard hoofs behind me. And he was not like, Walter was a lot of things. He wasn't a very like physically affectionate horse.
Yeah.
You know, like he loved pets and scratches and rubs and getting groomed and brushed and stuff, but he wouldn't like come up and ask for it.
Right.
Like he wanted to work, he wanted to show, he was all about business and he loved his job. So he wasn't very like a cuddly horse.
Yeah.
You know, if you hung out with him in the pasture, he'd just be like, where's the snacks? Are we going to go work? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
You know? But I heard hoofs like walk up behind me and I felt his nose like bonk me, like he was trying to get my attention. And I was fine after that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
See, my ghosty kitty has never really appeared to me personally. I just tell myself he's there.
He just
to make
hits
myself
stuff
better.
off the counters.
Yeah. No, that's just my alive cats.
Oh no.
But no, I feel like more so than me having experiences, I see like the other animals because I'm like, they can probably still see him. They probably don't even know he's dead. Always like staring at something that's not there, or like the cats will be looking like there's a bug
like
or
there's
something,
a fly
but there's
and there's
nothing
no
there.
fly.
And I always say like, oh, is Louie teasing you? Like,
oh, that's cute.
Is he flying around up there?
That's so cute.
But no, I've never actually. I remember after he died, I indulged in substances, not like scary illegal substances, just like mind altering substances.
Okay, yeah.
Is that vague enough?
Like magic shrooms?
No. Like weed.
Okay, you're
We
allowed
can
to
cut
say
that
weed.
Yeah. Anyways, weed.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, and it was like one of the very first times I had tried it. I had done it like a couple times before, but I remember thinking to myself, like, I really, really want to see him, like, while I'm, my mind is like, in this
while
other
you're
state.
like more open.
I'm like, I want something to happen because he had like just died and nothing
like
happened.
The same day?
No, it was probably like a week after.
Okay.
So it had been a few days.
Yeah.
But anyway. So I've tried to make things happen.
Well, he's a cat.
I'm ready.
That's the thing. He's a cat.
They
I
only
feel
do
like
things when they want to.
They do things if they want to.
I've had like dreams and stuff about him. I don't know if that's, but I have had dreams. Have you ever had a pet pass away and then you have a dream like 5 years later?
Oh yeah.
Where like they're actually there the whole time and you haven't been taking care of them?
Yes.
I've had dreams.
I definitely have dreams like that.
I've even had dreams about like my childhood dog about that, where I'm like, oh my gosh, he was in the backyard this whole time.
You haven't been putting. He's just sitting by the window like, Mom.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I've had dreams where he like comes back, but other than that, I haven't had any. So that's very significant. Your experience.
It was, and I've never had anything like that with a person that's passed away. I've never had anything like that with other pets that I've had. And I feel like it was because I had such a close bond with this horse.
Right. It was a special bond.
Yeah, we became so close. Horses are very intelligent. And yeah, we got to the point where we had our own language and could completely understand each other. And I feel like it was because of that I was, I don't know, in the right mind space to like be aware of when he passed, and then that he came and was like, you're fine.
And now he probably lives in here and you don't even know.
Oh, I don't know. It's a little crowded. He was a big boy. I hope he's somewhere in a field. He loved big open fields. Is when we moved from New Hampshire to Utah. There's so many trees in New Hampshire, you can't like really see things unless you cut them down. So he wasn't used to like just a skyline, and he was so funny. Every time I would take him out of the barn to go to the pasture, he would just stand there and look around and be like, oh my gosh, clouds. And he would like neigh super loud and get like all bunny hoppy to like run around. He acted like he was 2 years old.
Oh, that's so
cute. He loved big open spaces, so I'm sure that's where he's romping through like, I don't know, Texas right now.
Yeah.
Someplace flat.
He's just in Texas.
Yeah.
He's in the plains. We haven't talked about our tea at all.
No.
And I didn't want to interrupt
we introduced
it. Took my first sip, but it's very good.
I'm glad you like it.
I'm very impressed.
It's like a little muffin.
It's like fall in a cup.
Yeah.
Like
we've been describing all of them as fall in a cup, but yes. Yeah. Well, because they're fall teas. But with the cinnamon and the vanilla, to me it's almost like cake. Like it's almost like a little fall muffin.
Yeah, it's like a treat.
Yeah, it's like a little fall muffin, and it's warm and it's soothing. It has a little bit of chamomile in there. Like it's a great.
I could have this for breakfast.
Yeah, it's a great little tea. I really like this one. I'm glad you like it.
Yes, I'm very impressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you put just the right amount of honey too.
Oh, perfect. I'm glad.
Yeah,
do you want to roll for the next one?
A 10.
Ooh, 10, such a nice number. Oh, this is a fun question. Have you or do you currently watch any ghost hunter shows?
Absolutely.
What's your favorite?
Well, I guess I've really only ever seen one, and it's Ghost Adventures.
Okay.
With Zach.
Yes.
Oh, what's his name?
Oh my gosh.
I totally forgot. Zach Bagans.
Yes.
I think is his name.
Yes.
And I used to watch it as a teenager because I thought it was ironic and funny. but it's actually really entertaining.
It's very entertaining.
And I just think it's funny because
So funny.
it's one of those shows. Have you ever seen like Curse of Oak Island?
Oh my gosh.
Where it's like every episode is kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, and they're always like, oh my gosh, it gives me vibes of almost like the Crocodile Hunter, where it's like everything is so exciting.
Yes, everything's
intense.
a really big deal.
Everything is a huge deal. It's like, oh my gosh, there was a shadow, and it's like I die every time. It's so great.
Yes,
it's so great.
So I really like Ghost Adventures. I wouldn't say I watch it on like a regular basis. I probably watch it a lot more around like Halloween time.
But you're still a fan. You can still keep up.
But I make fun of it all the time.
Absolutely.
Like the amount of times that it's like an inside joke with my family and I, where we'll say the spirits here are rumored to be restless. Like we say that quote all the time. Like it's a very common saying.
Turn to each other and be like, the spirits here.
Yes, yeah. So yeah,
oh
I love Ghost Adventures. I don't know of any others that I've ever seen, but that one is good. It's entertaining. It's not a bingeable show because, like I said,
not really.
Most episodes are like the exact same.
The exact same
as
thing.
The one
you start
it.
to feel like you're rinsing and repeating a little bit.
But every once in a while, it's very fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you?
So I've kind of cherry picked them throughout the years. And I will watch them sporadically. Definitely watch them more in the month of October than other times, because I do feel like a lot of them are very like rinse and repeat, new location, same vibes.
Yeah.
But when I was thinking of this question, I was specifically thinking of my brother. Shout out to Michael. He's in the Navy, and he was stationed on the ship in Boston. It's called the Constitution.
Oh, I'm sure every ship in Boston is haunted.
Oh, frick, yeah. Boston's such a haunted place.
Boston is
such a haunted place. It always makes me laugh when people are like, oh, I went to like this little shed in the middle of nowhere in Utah and it was so haunted. I was like, honey, you have no idea.
Just go to Boston.
Just like walk around Boston and just like breathe it in. You're just breathing in ghosts. Like that's everywhere.
Yeah.
So the Constitution was a fighting ship during the Revolutionary War.
Oh, that's old.
It's a very old ship, and they have like kept it up. Like it still sails. And it's still run by the Navy.
Like used as a naval ship, or like for historical value?
Historic value, but it is treated and used like a naval ship.
That's crazy.
They have like you can be stationed there as a member of the Navy. It's obviously very difficult to get there, and ever since we were little kids, we would go to Boston on tours and stuff all the time. We would go to the Constitution and see it. You could walk on it and like watch them fire the cannons. It's super cool.
That is very cool.
And my brother, ever since he was little, he was like, I'm gonna work on the Constitution one day. And then later on joined the Navy and then was able to get a station on the Constitution.
That's so cool.
And just like you would imagine for every place in Boston, it is rumored to be very haunted.
Yes.
Right? Which, like, and we've talked to him about this because we're like, oh, did you whenever you were on night post, did you ever see any ghosts? And he was like, no. I was like, well, you're useless. But they had some ghost hunters from... I want to get it right. I want to say it was the History Channel.
Was it the Travel Channel?
It might have been the Travel
Channel.
Channel.
Because it was the Travel Channel. It was probably Zach Bagans.
It might have done, but they had some that had contacted them, months in advance and were like, we really want to film out here. Like, what do we got to do? Because they had to get permission, like, from the Navy to spend a night on a naval ship. It's not just a tourist attraction, right? So they had to get all the permission and stuff, and we were so bummed because my brother wasn't on... Yeah, he was higher up, so he wouldn't just like watch the ship
at night.
Yeah. Like sometimes he would be like over the guys that were watching the ship, but he wasn't going to be the guy that was on when they were there. But his commanding officer had to sit down and do an interview with them.
Oh, that's so
Everybody
funny.
was making fun of him the whole time.
That's so funny.
My brother got interviewed, and a whole bunch of the other sailors got interviewed because they were trying to like pull for like, what have you seen while you've been here, and tell us about where we should go check stuff.
I'll bet you anything it was Ghost Adventures, because they always do that.
Oh my gosh,
I'm gonna go home and watch
this
episode.
You need to watch this episode.
You said it's the Constitution?
The Constitution. Okay. Old Ironsides. It was called Ironsides not because it has iron. It's wood. It's a wooden ship.
Yeah.
But because they shot at it so much with cannons and it wouldn't sink, that the British assumed that it was clad with iron. So it wouldn't sink.
Funny.
So, but yeah, they told him a bunch of just garbage. They told him a bunch of just garbage of like, oh yeah, we've totally seen like a ghost like that will patrol with us or whatever.
That
or
is amazing.
oh yeah, you can like hear a guy like knocking, trying to get out, you know,
That's
this and this
so
and that.
funny.
Like so much just cock and bull, just
I would do the same thing.
trash. But man, they ate it up.
Oh, I'm sure.
Absolutely ate it up.
They need it.
Yeah. And like, guys, this is a historical ship. Like, if anywhere is going to be haunted, it's Boston.
Yeah.
It's a ship where people like got shot and died. Like, of course it would be haunted. I don't know. I was never there at night. My brother was there at night a lot. He's like me, and he's not particularly sensitive to that type of things.
Yeah.
I am definitely a believer in the spirits and the ghosties, but like, were there any ghosts on that show when they recorded? Probably not. Probably not. But oh, it was so funny. It was so funny. So now whenever I watch any ghost shows or anything like that, I always think of my brother and the Constitution, and I'm always like, man, Michael, you should have gotten on post.
Do you know if he made it on the actual episode?
I don't think he did.
His interviews?
Dang it. His commanding officer did for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been years now since he was stationed in Boston, but that was such a cool time.
I promise you I'll go home and watch it. I'll tell you about it tomorrow.
You should. I've watched that episode too. It's very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Definitely gonna watch it.
I'm glad we got this question because I was like, oh, I want to talk about the Constitution.
Yes.
Okay. It's my turn. I'm gonna roll my sparkly iridescent dice. That is a 12. I don't think we've gotten 12 yet.
I just realized that's where I'm supposed to roll the dice.
Oh, well, you can roll it on any little mat, but this helps to contain it just a little bit.
That makes sense.
Ooh. When did you first become aware that ghosts were a thing? How old were you, and what triggered this?
Like that ghosts were real, or just that ghosts existed in
general? That they were like a real thing.
Do you want me to go into one of my ghost stories?
Yes, please. If that's what this is going to lead to, then absolutely yes, please.
I can. So I was definitely in elementary school, somewhere between kindergarten and 6th grade. I have no idea how old. But my parents' house, my bedroom, let's see, how can I describe this in a way that makes sense? So my bed was basically just right up against the wall that had the window.
Oh, okay.
And so from my head to like the little windowsill was probably like
it was like right there.
Foot. Yeah. Like it right like there. I could prop myself up in bed and like look out the front window.
Peeking out the front window and see the street.
Yes, it was the front of the house. Yeah, and right to the left of that window on the outside was our porch. Oh. So like if someone stood on our porch,
you could
lean over and like look in that
into
window.
Your bedroom window.
Correct.
That sounds like problems galore.
Yes.
If your young female child is
so I
in
always
that bedroom.
My mom always made sure I kept my blinds shut for sure.
Good.
Good. But I had 2 ghosts that would haunt me in that bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
And so I had one that was an old lady, and the best way I can describe her.
Was this an old house?
Probably like 1960s, not that old.
Okay, but it wasn't like you guys didn't build it new, like this was a house you moved into.
Correct. Okay. Yes, it had been lived in before. A used house,
and it was still being lived in.
Yes, apparently. But so yeah, there was an old lady that would look in the window. And I saw her like multiple times throughout my childhood, like reoccurring, maybe like every couple years or something. I don't know how
about
often.
It?
Yes, I would tell my mom, and she would just tell me I was dreaming. But like,
oh my gosh!
And I've had this my whole entire life, where I will wake up in the night, and I still have it, and I'm fully awake, and I see something. Like I'm not half asleep. I'm totally cognizant, and I can totally see it. Yeah. And then I'll turn the light on. It's gone. And that was what this old lady was. Like I would literally wake up.
You could fully see an old woman looking at you.
Yeah, I could lock eyes with her. Oh if I turn the light on, there's nothing there.
Oh my gosh.
I swear. And maybe
Emily.
Maybe I really just hallucinate in my sleep because I also am a wild sleeper.
Okay.
Like I do sleepwalk and I sleep talk. So maybe it is a sleepy thing, but it was the same woman I would see like multiple times throughout my childhood.
And this wasn't a woman that you knew like in real life.
I did not know her. I have a grandma that passed before I was born. She died like 3 months before.
But it's not like somebody that you would have seen, like, oh, this is your
no, like I've
your
seen photos. Yeah,
babysitter
I've
or
seen
something.
photos of that grandma. I've never seen. The lady that looked in my window. The best way I can describe her is she looked like have you ever seen a Titanic? At the end,
yes.
how she's like really, really old and really, really
she
wrinkly.
just looks so old.
That's who she looks like.
No way.
Yes.
So have you seen pictures of the person that lived in that house before?
No.
Okay, because I would be very curious
if it
about
was that.
Yeah. If it was like somebody, like a previous
I wonder if there's a way to like look up those
like,
records
of who. I mean, there's got to be.
I'm sure there is genealogy somewhere.
Something, or if you're in law enforcement or something, you got to help us out, guys. We got to find out who this old woman was. Was she murdered in the front yard?
It's possible.
Was there like a house fire and she was trying to get her children out, or something?
Or was she a peeping Tom in another life?
Like a really weird grandma? I don't know. It's possible.
Really creepy granny? I don't know.
Creepy granny, and that's what they used to call her.
But there was that one ghost, and then I also had a little girl. This was another reoccurring ghost in that same bedroom.
It's always the little girls.
It was a little girl. She had probably like my length, so a little past shoulders, longer, dark hair.
Okay.
And she was in a white dress.
Oh,
They're always in a white dress.
Always.
And she would float. And maybe this was like a sleep paralysis TV, now that I think about it.
It's entirely possible.
Maybe. But she would float above my bed, like horizontally.
Okay, so she was like floating over where you could see her and she could see you.
Yes.
Not so like she was standing, but like.
Yeah, she was completely floating above where I was laying.
Yeah.
And neither of them ever felt like malicious, menacing, or scary. Like when it would happen, like it was always a little like whoa out, but like when it was started like recurring,
there was
then
a
it was
pattern.
just kind of like
it just
kind of felt normal, and I would just like roll over and go back to sleep.
Yeah,
like they never felt like they meant me any harm. I
don't think it was usually with sleep paralysis stuff, you're stuck.
Right, and I wasn't stuck.
Yeah.
That was never a thing. And I've had sleep paralysis before. It usually happens when I'm like napping in the day.
Yeah, and you wake up too fast. And,
yeah, I've had that before, but I've never had like at night where I like genuinely
where you woke up from a deep sleep and then you can't move. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know about her either. I don't know. I have a little sister that died. Well, sorry, older sister that died.
Yeah.
When she was like a baby.
And that you never met.
That I never met. So maybe it was
her spirit.
And like in her little baby picture, she did have dark hair, but I don't know.
And it would make sense, like in those little, the baby blessing things, or they come home from the hospital and they're in those big long
And you know what? Actually, so blankets. she died the day she was born. And I know, very sad.
That's very sad.
I know. Now that I look back at it too, I'm like, my mom was so young. And like when I was little, it was just like, I just had a baby sister that died. But now I'm like, oh, my mom probably was so devastated.
I mean, that would be absolutely crushing.
I know.
Little girl. Did she have a girl before that?
Yes. So she had my older sister and then this sister. Her name was Sadie. And then my brother and then me.
Okay.
I know. That's so sad.
Really sad.
But yeah, she, in her funeral picture, she's just this little tiny baby, but she is in a long white dress.
A long white dress.
Yes.
See?
So maybe it's
her spirit
something,
trying to like reconnect.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that grandma though.
But the creepy grandma.
The creepy grandma
not
though.
Quite as special.
Oh my word.
But yeah, so those are the two I used to see.
So recurring. Did you know that they were ghosts at first, or was it somebody that explained to you like, oh my gosh, I think that's a ghost?
I mean, I always thought they were ghosts.
Yeah.
And my mom would gaslight me, tell
she'd be like, they definitely
were just dreaming. Because I don't think she believes in ghosts, but like they had to have been ghosts, right? I mean, like, maybe I was hallucinating,
where else did they come from?
Especially because it was the same people.
Yeah.
Like on multiple occasions.
And like there's a lot of like research into stuff like this, right? To help find answers and help suss out like, okay, is it real? Is it not? And like the sleep paralysis stuff, people get confused with like possession and all kinds of things. And you can see stuff when you have come out of like sleep too quickly.
Yeah.
Because your brain is still like asleep. But it's usually a continuation, right, of what was your dream. Right. And you might not be aware of it at the time. But I don't know. I feel like for me, like a pattern like that consistently, I don't know.
It was probably ghosts.
Well, and especially like, did it go away or change when you went to another place?
Yes, it was only in that bedroom, and me and my siblings, like every few years we would shuffle bedrooms around.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And so I had that bedroom when I was really little, and then I had it again when I was a teenager.
Yeah. Would you
and
see
it was
them
only in that bedroom
when you were in that bedroom, but nowhere else?
Only in that bedroom.
So that makes me think less that it was like a dream, because it would have been more consistent and you might have seen more variety based on like where you were. Like it would have kind of followed you because it was you.
Right.
Right.
And I've had it happen other places too. I have other stories of like when I'm staying at hotels that it's happened, but it's like a different ghost.
thing. It's not the same spirit.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is I had that like all growing up.
Wow.
And then when I got older and moved out, I got a Great Dane, and I now have 2 Great Danes, as you know.
Yes, they're wonderful.
And they are wonderful. And apparently Great Danes, like historically, were known to ward off spirits.
Yeah.
That's like a thing that when people back in the day would own them, they thought they would like ward off spirits. And since I've had my dogs, which is like 5 years, it's never happened to me since I've had them. I swear. Emily. Isn't that crazy?
Whoa.
I know.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would believe it.
Yeah.
Because I guess if you would go on, you'd have to probably go on a trip long enough to like purge from the Great Dane vibes,
right.
To see if they come back with the Great Dane protection gone.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's really interesting.
And I've even lived in like older apartment buildings and stuff too that like definitely seemed haunted, but I never had
some weird Sketch Creek vibes. I mean, I know that. I had some basement apartments and I was like, man, you got to do what you got to do when you're broke, But wow.
Yeah, very spooky.
That is so interesting. Yeah, because I was going to ask, like, did it change because you got older? Because I feel like for some people it changes because they get older.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that's
it could be because I'm older, or it could be the Great Dane. Because the timelines are kind of on the same course.
It kind of correlated.
Yeah.
We'd have to do an experiment and deprive you of your dogs.
And
that would be so sad.
I could go back to my parents' house and maybe like do a night in that bedroom and see what happens. But now they have a Great Dane. So
that's not gonna work.
So I don't know if it would happen.
It's not gonna work.
But we could certainly
Their
try.
dog chased the spooky vibes away.
Yeah.
Dang. That's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting.
I love telling those stories.
That's such a
good story.
Now
my Great Danes protect me.
Yeah.
They're the best.
Let's roll some dice.
It's my turn, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do this fun.
Ooh,
is that 1 or 7?
That is a 7.
7.
Oh, this is great. Have you ever been to a famous haunted location?
I'll let you answer first.
Okay.
Well, you've been to the Constitution.
There's the Constitution. Some people don't even know what that ship is, which blows my mind. But I did grow up on the East Coast, and like we would do,
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, and we would do family vacations to like Washington D.C. and we've been to Paul Revere's house, and we went to all the different like battle sites and stuff. So yeah. So if you're talking about like especially American history, I've been to a lot of like historical places that are also considered very haunted.
Right.
Like the whole place where Abraham Lincoln read the Gettysburg Address and like those fields of where all these people died. Like, yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any weird voices or anything. Pretty much any world Revolutionary War place is spooky-ish, but it's mostly, I was always there for the history.
Yeah.
And then anything for the Civil War, that's just like deeply, deeply, deeply depressing.
And sad. Yeah.
Very, very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never got any like weird spooky vibes. Was mostly just like, wow. Yeah. This was a rough time. I would not want to live in this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've definitely been to a lot of places that are probably very haunted.
I
feel like
I'm trying to think of where all I've been. I stayed at well, it's now a Holiday Inn, but it used to be the Shiloh Inn.
Oh, okay.
Downtown, where, have you ever heard the story about the crazy guy that he like was LDS, but then he was one of those people that like broke off and tried to form his own sect of it?
Was it like
he like thought he was a
pioneer times or something?
No, it was like the 70s.
Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
A lot of stuff happened in the 60s and 70s. It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
But he just was cuckoo and thought he was a prophet, and he had
saw visions or whatever.
Yeah, he had like 10 kids.
Oh my word.
They were living in that hotel on the 11th floor. for like a couple months, him and his wife and however many
million
kids they
of
had.
his children.
And this is a little dark.
Okay.
He drove up the canyon.
Oh no.
And committed suicide.
Oh.
And before he did that, he told his wife to do the same and all the children.
To like murder their children?
So she took, the older kids also jumped with her, but
out of the building?
Correct, the 11th floor.
What? I've never heard
You've never heard this story? Look it up. It's called The Family David.
Oh my gosh, I have never heard this.
Yes, The Family David. You can look it up. There's stories all about it. But he, told her to do it, and like some of the littler kids obviously were like too little, and she threw them off.
Oh my word.
Yes. It's very dark and sad.
Gosh.
And one of the daughters survived,
and that's how we
and
know.
She's still alive today, and she still believes that her father was a prophet and like believed in all of that, and still thinks her mom did the right thing because she was just doing what the prophet said. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Anyways,
guys,
all that
brainwashing and that type of stuff is real.
It
and
is
like
wild.
I swear, you start as a kid. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Even that traumatic experience, kid was totally.
I'm pretty sure she's like paralyzed now. I'm sure.
I mean,
she has all sorts of
from an 11th floor.
Yeah.
That is so sad.
Yes, and it is a real story. I'm not making that up. All you listeners, you can Google this.
Gosh.
But anyway, so me and my friend stayed at that hotel on the 11th floor. It is now a Holiday Inn.
Because you wanted to find the ghosty
to have
vibes?
A spooky night.
Okay.
Yeah, and then nothing
was there any ghosty vibes?
No, there was no ghosty vibes. We ended up just having like a fun girls' night. Nothing happened.
I mean, yeah, I feel like that's every time would happen to me every single time. I don't know what's wrong with me. Do the ghosts just not like me? Or maybe they do.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just
and they're just chilling.
Or maybe I'm just delusional.
That's fair.
I also I used to work at the Lion House downtown.
I have heard that the Lion House
I was
is
a wedding server there.
Place.
It is genuinely haunted. Yeah. I heard the piano playing.
Yeah.
When there was only me and one coworker
tell me
there.
That piano will play its little self.
Yep, that is a real thing that I have actually heard.
See, like, that's so cool to me. And yeah, like the most ghostly experience probably I've ever had was with my horse, but I almost feel like that's almost more like a spiritual experience for me with him.
Yeah, that's more
goodbye.
like spectral and
yeah. It's not like a random creepy old woman.
The woman from Titanic staring in your bedroom window.
Staring in your bedroom window. That's so crazy.
I know.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea that was a thing. That is the saddest story.
Now you know that I'm kind of Looney Tunes.
Now we know. I think we have time for maybe like one more. Do you want me to roll the dice or do you want to do it?
You can roll the dice.
Okay.
Go for it.
This has just been so good. I could talk about ghosts and ghosty stories.
Same. I have more. I have even more ghosty stories.
Oof, I bet you do. Well, this is perfect. This is perfect. If you have more ghost stories, because question number 8. Tell me about a time that you've experienced a ghostly presence. Positive or negative, doesn't matter.
Okay. Do you want me to go first or you want to go first?
I can go first. It's pretty, cause like honestly, guys, like I've been to so many places, either intentionally trying to get the spooky vibes or just oblivious and being like, this is a cool history tour. And never got the spooky vibes.
Yeah.
But once upon a time, I was on an internship at a really big equine hospital on the East Coast for a summer between school. And it meant like long hours and stuff, and we would do like a lot of emergency on call. And this was a big hospital, and like saw a lot of patients, a lot of emergencies, lots of happy things, lots of sad things. And as we know, Katie's kind of just oblivious to the spoopy vibes, right?
Yes.
And one night we were like wrapping up from like a very long night of like being on the road, going to different emergencies. And the tech and I are like cleaning things up, putting stuff away so that we could get like 3 hours of sleep and then wake up the next day and get right back at it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what brought it up, but the tech was like, wait, you don't know that this hospital's haunted? Because like I'd been there for a while and done a lot of stuff late at night, in and out of the hospital, either by myself or with the doctors, and like doing like
he was just kind of there.
Yeah.
And she was like, wait, you don't know? And I was like, no. It's like, what? Who would haunt this hospital? And like, well, horses, of course,
Right.
because it's an equine hospital.
Right.
So it was like, okay, like what? I mean, what are they gonna do? They're just horses, right? So she tells me about how, right around when they first built it, I don't remember everything about the case, but this was an older horse, was super sick, had come in on emergency, was hospitalized for a long time, ended up having to have multiple surgeries. Like, it was rough. It was rough.
I
And
can't even imagine doing surgery on a horse.
oh gosh, it's cool.
Equine medicine.
It's a lot.
Like
Equine medicine is so cool. It's so cool. They're very big. But ended up passing away, and the owners didn't have anywhere to like cremate and dispose of the remains. So at the time, there was a license that they could dispose and bury the cremated remains on the grounds.
Yeah.
Not to get grim or anything on this spooky podcast. So, but that was like the circumstances, right? And ever since then, so he'd been hospitalized for so long. He was in, like, they had their little barn that they had for hospitalized patients, and they had this like surgery suite proper, and then the treatment area proper. He was in and out of there constantly, right? Because he was basically living there while he was hospitalized. And his owners weren't able to come and see him very often, so maybe that contributed to his spirit being restless. I don't really know. But she was like, ever since then, you could hear his hoofs like walking through the treatment area, and he would stop and stand where they would like brush him and give him his baths and like put in his catheters and like give him his meds and stuff, and you would be able to hear him walking, and you could hear his footsteps depending on what time of the night it was. You would hear him like walking in and kind of like stumbling and weak and shuffly and walking into the stall where they euthanized him, and you would hear him hit the ground.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. And
oh my
like,
gosh.
I'm oblivious, all right? I didn't know. I was completely oblivious to all of this, and she's telling me all this. It's the middle of the night, and I'm all sleep deprived and exhausted.
Oh, how
just
spooky.
living my best life. And she's like, okay, bye. I'm gonna go. Like, good night. And it was just like, what? What? You're telling me there's a ghost horse in here that like dies every night? Like, what? What? I didn't hear anything that night, which is probably really good, because when I first heard that, I was like, that is terrifying.
That's pretty wild.
That's really creepy. But there is one night where I was, and I like, this is how Katie do be. Like, I hear the spooky story, I'm like, whoa, that's really scary. And then I get back into the job brain mode, and I just kind of move on.
Yeah.
Fully forgetting. And so there was another night, maybe a couple weeks later, where I had, again, been out on call, been a really late night, was putting stuff from the emergency truck away, cleaning up for the next day, and locking up, turning off the lights, getting ready to go, praying that we weren't going to get another call, right? And as I'm turning off the lights, like as soon as I hit the lights, I heard hoofs walking back to that stall, and I just booked it out of there.
You didn't even stay to hear the thump.
No, I wasn't going to listen to the thump. I was like, buddy, like, if you're gonna relive this, that's fine, but I'm gone.
Oh my gosh.
I've
That's
pieced
so
out.
wild.
Yeah.
So you have had experiences. You're not anti-clairvoyant.
No, I think I'm just oblivious.
Yeah.
Like, that
You're too focused on this
I'm
world.
too focused on, maybe that's a thing about me that I should work on, but yeah, I'm just like too in the moment, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
So yeah, that's
the
my
horse clompy clomp.
Yeah, the horse clomps. I don't think I would be bothered by the clompy clomps. It's the, like, he walks himself back to the place he died, and then he dies.
Over and over.
That's really rough, buddy. It's just like, move on. Like,
yeah, that's pretty dark.
It's,
He needs the Ghost Whisperer. Have you ever seen that show?
I haven't.
With
I
what's
should
her name?
probably
Jennifer
watch it.
Love
I would
Hewitt.
probably love it.
It's one of those old, like, early 2000s shows.
Ooh, so it's real good.
That's
Mm-hmm.
it's good. And it's about, of course, she's like
helps talk them through. She's like a therapist.
She helps them move on to the other side.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah,
that's kind of cute.
I used to watch all the time when I was young.
I love that.
Okay, I can tell one final. How are we on time?
Oh, I mean, yeah, we can probably do one final one, but it's getting late, so you got to get home before the spooks come out.
I'll tell him he can come get me. Okay, and this is kind of a long one, so I'm going to do it very, very short.
It's fine.
So me and my mom were staying in La Jolla, California.
Oh, wow, that's
which
cool.
is one of my very favorite places.
Yeah.
My great uncle had a house there, whatever, which was
nice.
also probably haunted. Come to think of it,
it was probably very haunted.
But we were not staying at his house. We were staying at a hotel. It was on the Torrey Pines golf course, which, if you know anything about golf, it's a very famous golf course in La Jolla.
That's beautiful.
And we were staying at a Hilton there.
Wow.
And the first weird thing that happened is when we were driving there, we weren't like entirely familiar with the area or where the hotel was, so we were using like Siri, Apple Maps, to take us there.
A little GPS maps.
And we got to a point where we were supposed to turn left, and had we turned left and kept going down that road, like the hotel was right there.
Oh.
And so we're in the left-hand turn lane, and Siri just kept saying, "Make a U-turn. Make a U-turn."
I hate that.
And so we were like, okay, that's weird. So we make a U-turn, and then we come almost immediately to another stoplight.
Yeah.
And she's like, we get in the left-hand turn lane there. She's like, make a
U-turn.
So
you're
she
like,
had us going in a giant
she was literally going in a circle around the hotel. I hate it when that happens.
And it was so bizarre. Well, it wasn't even around the hotel. It was like, had we turned left that first time,
it was literally
right down
there.
that street.
Oh gosh.
So that was spooky, and now looking back at what happened at the hotel, I'm like, maybe Siri was trying to save us.
Siri was like, don't go here, you oblivious idiots. Like, don't go.
Yeah, that was really weird. And I've like never had Siri glitch like that. Ever before or ever since.
I feel like it is like that. It's gotten better, I feel like, but like all the time. She's
sending you in circles.
All the time. I have so many stories. Like, I have a story on here of I got lost because of Google Maps. Like, I have gotten so lost because of Siri or Google or freaking MapQuest in the day. Like, so lost all the time. You just know to, like, trust it to a point.
Yes. You don't drive your car into a lake.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No, Michael. No.
There's a lake there. Anyway, so that was the first weird thing. We were just like, okay, whatever, that's weird.
Whatever.
Move on with our night.
Siri.
So we were staying in a room that was on the first floor. So it had a sliding glass door that went out right to the golf course.
That's so nice.
Yeah. So although we weren't golfing, so
I mean, it would be really
but it was
pretty.
still like beautiful.
It would be really pretty.
Very beautiful. And anyway, so it was just me and my mom, and it was a king bed, so we were sleeping in the same bed, and we went to sleep, whatever. I think we like went out to dinner that night, something.
Yeah.
And I was young. I was probably like 15 or 16.
Okay.
I was like
young,
in high
but
school.
not like that young.
Yeah. So I woke up in the middle of the night, and I saw so vividly, Katie. I swear to you, I was awake. Like, I was not asleep.
I believe you.
I can just picture it right now.
Yes.
There was a man standing at the foot of our bed.
Oh my gosh.
And he was wearing a red polo shirt and khakis.
What? Like a golfer.
Like a Target employee. That's what my family always refers to this story as, the Target employee.
Oh my gosh. Poor man.
But he was just standing at the foot of our bed, just staring at us.
Ew.
And like, in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, like, did we leave the sliding door
Did somebody
unlocked?
come in?
Right, because you could just get in.
You could just walk in from the golf course.
We were on the first floor, like, totally plausible.
Horrifying.
And I woke up my mom.
Yeah.
And I started, like, tapping
trying
her
to be subtle, because you're like, this guy's fully watching.
Mom, there's a man at the foot of our bed. And, like, he still never even moved.
Didn't even move.
And, like, I was literally, like, shaking in fear. Because to me, it was not like there's a ghost. It was there's a person in our room. Anyway, so, and then my mom obviously is terrified because she thought the same thing, like, oh my gosh, is the sliding door unlocked? Yeah. Like, what's going on? And keep in mind, this is like 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh, like, we're both, half asleep.
Yeah,
that's what she gets woken up to.
I mean, yeah, my brain would go to the same place.
Yeah, so she was horrified, turned on the light, there's nothing there. Nothing there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and then of course she was just like, I mean, she was still pretty freaked out just because, like, in that moment, like, the
adrenaline is so strong. Like, you fight or flight. Yes. Like, you're ready to go.
Yeah. In fact, I think she even got up, now that I think about it. I think she got up and, like, checked the closet, checked the sliding door.
Yeah.
Everything was fine. The sliding door was locked.
I would be leaving the lights on after that.
Yeah. I think we did. I think we left the lamp on, just, like, on the nightstand.
Yeah.
But eventually we went back to sleep.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know how long we were asleep, maybe like an hour, maybe 2 hours. And this was an older hotel. It was nice. It was a Hilton, but it was, like, definitely old.
Yeah.
And there was a big metal. It was probably like 3 feet long, a foot wide, like AC cover
like an
thingy.
AC thing or like a heater thing.
Yeah, something. Yeah. It was just like a vent cover.
Oh, okay.
Of some sort, and it was next to like the bathroom. Like, you know, in a hotel room, you come in, there's like a bathroom.
Yeah.
And there's like a little hallway.
And
it was in like that
and
little,
then it's like right there.
That little hallway.
Space.
Yeah. And it fell off the wall in the middle of the night after we had seen the Target employee ghost.
I would have fully peed my pants.
And it made the loudest noise. And like both me and my mom, of course, because we were already on edge,
already
like,
just
jumped up,
ready to kill
and we're like
something.
Looking around, and we figure out what had made the noise, and the thing's just laying there on the ground. And we're like, was there an earthquake? Like, what's going on? And it was really spooky too, because then you could like see inside the wall.
The ducts.
And yes, it was all like dusty and cobwebby. And anyway, and then I don't know if we put it back in the wall or what, but we did eventually just go back to sleep. Yeah. And then the next morning, my mom complained to the front desk about it, and we got a free breakfast.
They didn't tell you any story, though, of somebody who was, like, murdered in there?
No, she just complained about the thing falling out of the wall.
Oh, my gosh. I would have asked them. I would have been like, guys, like, I don't mean to make this weird, but, like, I just kind of need to know.
There was a Target employee.
There was a ghost. Like, what if, you know, he had, like, maybe he or someone else was killed there. Yeah. And they, like, hid evidence in the grate or something.
He was trying to show us. What if his body?
His body, or like the evidence to find the killer, like something important. Yeah. Maybe it was a drug deal gone wrong, and that's where the drugs were, like something.
Or maybe some sort of like a golfing.
Yeah, like something. Revenge.
A golf murder.
Yeah. It sounds like a weird.
Because I guess, now that maybe he was dressed like a golfer, like a collared shirt.
Like a collared shirt.
He was dressed like
a golfer.
I just always thought of him as the Target employee.
No, he sounds like, I mean, you were at a golf
course. Or Jake from State Farm.
Yeah.
But no.
He was fully probably, like, maybe somebody's caddy that,
I don't know.
Like, saw too much, knew too much.
But he was, like, younger. He wasn't an old guy. He was probably, like, in his 30s.
Yeah, like, the caddies are the guys that, like, carry the rich guy's stuff for them. Yeah. Right? So, like, what if he was
the golfer was cheating on his wife, and the caddy knew.
And he knew, or, like, he was a mob boss or something. And the caddy knew, and he was going to tell.
The caddy knew the golfer was taking steroids.
Oh my gosh. I don't. There was something going on in that room. Yeah. And he was trying to communicate. Or he fully killed someone.
Or he was trying to scare me.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's the only ghost that I've ever encountered that I felt like, you're scary. Like, he felt menacing.
Something bad happened.
Yeah, it felt like he was... Maybe either he was genuinely scary or like just purposefully trying to scare me.
Trying to scare
he thought it was funny. I don't know.
Yeah, like those ones are the ones that it's like, okay, you're either the killer or like you were killed,
or you were killed but you were still a bad person.
Yeah, you were a bad person. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I want to know. I want to know if there was something that if there was a body or something found.
I think
like some kind of investigation.
I think I've tried to Google it since the Torrey Pines Hilton. And I've never found anything.
Sus. I know. I mean, unless he was like tossed in the ocean or something.
Yeah.
And got away with it.
That's true. Oof. But yeah, now that's one of those like infamous family stories.
Wow. Yeah, it's not the Target employee ghost, it's the golfer ghost.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Now that I think, I've like never thought about it that way, but you're right.
That's what they wear. They wear the like polo.
Collared golf
like a collared golf shirt with like, they'll either do those stupid khaki shorts or like long cream pressed pants with nice golf shoes. Like I'm sorry to anybody who's very serious
Shout out to all you golfers.
Anybody who's very serious about golfing, but there was a time period where there was a certain fashion trend and it happened and it's over now and we don't need to recreate it. But he sounds like he was a golfer or a caddy or
that's crazy.
Wow.
I've never thought about it that way after all these years.
I like these stories. Yeah. We could talk forever, but
yes, we could.
This is as much time as we have for today.
And then some.
Yeah. We'll talk at you later, guys. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.